right, we are live. Awesome to have you here, Alex, and welcome to the Pocket Podcast. I'm really excited about this episode because I have been following your journey, and I can't wait to kind of get into it and, you know, get more information on where you come from and what you've been doing and potentially kind of what the future holds. So
thanks for welcoming me.
No, absolutely. So let's start with the basic introduction of yourself. So please introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, so my name is Alex, as you can hear from my French accent. I'm from Paris. I was born and raised in Paris, and then I'm an engineer. So I come from the technical background, and after my studies, I went abroad and lived in quite a few countries, and we'll come to that, but ended up in Finland and in the food tech business. So that's been my journey.
Yeah. So I was going through your LinkedIn, and saw that you have a pretty heavy tech background, and your first experience of Finland was Nokia, or?
Yeah, well, I was hired by right after my studies. I was hired by a U.S. company called Texas Instruments, and doing chips for biggest customer being Nokia. Mm-hmm. So I started my job in September, and then first day at the office, they say, okay, next month you're going to Helsinki. And I didn't know even if it was in Sweden or Finland. That was my knowledge of the Nordics, right? So, and then, end of October, I arrived in Helsinki and working in Mandarin métier, and being, wow, what is this place? And trying to figure out this, and it was for a project for Nokia for 6 months. So I was here for 6 months, my first experience.
And Texas Instruments is presumably an American company? Or?
It's a US company, manufacturing chips, and the biggest customer at the time.
Like microchips for phones or tablets, or this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, and the biggest customer was Nokia, so a lot of project, and that's the reason why I came to Finland first time.
Wild. Yeah. So you didn't move here for your wife or girlfriend?
Not the first time. So I moved here three times. Okay,
I think that makes you a minority.
Yeah, exactly, right. I moved here 3 times. The first time was for my job, but the 2 other times was for my wife.
All right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a heavy tech background. So how the hell did you get to Fizza?
Yeah. So. Fast forward, so I came here for 6 months, met my wife, then we went to Germany, to San Diego, California, and then back to where I was hired in Nice, south of France. And then after that, I moved, so for the second time, to Finland. And then I was doing this heavy work for TI, but for Nokia, so being the country manager and handling the Nokia business. And then, things in the Nokia mobile went down. So I was again sent away, went to Prague. And after 13 years, I was like, okay, I had always this, I like to build things and being an entrepreneur. And I said, okay, maybe it's a good time now to pause maybe, or do something that I want after having, a comfortable job in big companies. So I decided to move to Nice, back to where I was, and started my own business. So I did a couple of ventures there. And then after that, I was, one went well, another one not so well. And I had this opportunity to go back to the enterprise world, which I did. And then we decided to move back to Finland 4 years ago. So I came back here working for Elisa, and I had this crazy idea to do this pizza vending machine. So as I said, I was not in the food business. Of course, I'm French, so it gives me some credibility, right? But,
sure.
But I like the I like the technology side and the food side, and I can come to how I started Fizza if you want.
Yeah, well, let's go back for a second. So because now obviously you're the founder and CEO of Fizza, which is a food tech business focused on high quality pizza. Mm-hmm. But I want to take a step back a little bit. let's talk about your first business as an entrepreneur. That first business was based in Nice.
Yeah, it was in Nice, and it was totally different from the tech. So we had it was like a real estate business basically. So it was more of a, building a company and investing in apartments, renovating, rent short term, building a platform for rental. We were basically doing what it was like Airbnb for on apartments basically.
Right.
And then I had this first experience to hire people managing the company and so on. But then French laws were a bit not in favor of this renting business. So we basically I saw the future not being so great for that. So we slowly sold assets and shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, property's a tough market, I think, in every country, to be honest. And there's a lot of kind of taxes and regulations around it that really kind of restrict your ability to make a lot of money quickly. Yeah. You can build a good portfolio and you can do it over time and so on. And the more consistency you build through that, one person you should follow on social media is... No, I've lost it. I'll get back to it.
Good. Okay. I can put it on the link.
I'll put it in the link.
Okay.
But there are a couple of young guys in Australia that are doing, big property projects now, but they've kind of been developing over the last, I would say, 10 years.
Yeah.
But why did you choose property? So you're a tech guy, you're an engineer, and then why?
Yeah, I always like to invest in real estate. I think it's a good foundation for anyone to start a portfolio. So I told my kids as soon as you can get into the real estate market, get a position, and in the long term you can never lose. So I think it's a great way to start your assets. So I like real estate, and I had a business partner also that I met in Prague, which also was, very enthusiastic about it. So we set up this business, and it was a great journey, good learning about company administration and how to start a company and managing this. And then while I was doing that, I also started then a tech company, right, called Meripixel. It was basically I had the vision that we have tons, actually trillions of pictures are taken every year on mobile phones, and at the time it was trillions. Now it's probably even so many pictures, and people don't know what to do with it. They put it on the cloud, they put it on the stored in the mobile phone. So we created a patented algorithm to sort automatically your pictures and remove the it was a bit like what Google Photos has been doing later. And so we started this app, and it was basically it's a B2C app, and so it was a great experience, very tech oriented. I got incubated in the south of France, and it was great. But then I saw that B2C market is tough. I learned a lot about B2C market. It takes a lot of time. And then, of course, when I was working, I had a comfortable salary. I grew up pretty fast in the company, young. And then when you're an entrepreneur, then you're on your own, right? So you have some kind of family choice to make. And then I was headhunted for a job. And then it was one of the toughest decisions of my life. Actually, I had to take, should I continue this Meripixel, where I saw that it will take a lot of time to get traction, or just go to the back to the enterprise world, which I did. And, but it was really tough. And I remember telling my people working in the company that I have to step out and so on. But
I don't think it's too uncommon for entrepreneurs to jump between kind of enterprise and then entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship has so many challenges, not just on the day-to-day, but just it's mentally taxing. So the longer you do it, it doesn't get easier.
No, yeah.
So sometimes you just need to go, right, I need to set my base. I need to get a salary again. I just need to, get my home life sorted.
Yeah.
Get a stable, get everything stable on the home front, and then I can kind of explore the entrepreneurial world again.
Yeah.
But what I do find really interesting is that you're in property,
Yeah.
and you kind of got experience of setting up company and going through the property market, identifying locations, so on and so forth. Then you went B2C, and regardless of what it is, it's business to consumer. So it's sales, marketing, brand image, pushing information and, your company ethos to a consumer. And now you're in a business which, in my opinion, closely relates and brings those two things together.
Totally. I mean, and that's what I love about Fizza, is that it's a very versatile job, right? So there is this location which is very important, and I learned a lot from my first experience, then the app and digital world from my second experience, and of course the food aspect which is coming, and the production which I learned at Texas Instruments. There's a lot of production, and I love that. So there's a lot of things in my life that I did.
Right. It's an accumulation of your experiences put into the new direction, which is Fizza.
You got it. Yeah. Exactly.
Really interesting. But so, let's now kind of move from France to Finland. You came over to Finland. You had met your wife already by that point?
I think my wife way back.
Way back. She was in France with you and everything.
We were together, and,
cool.
So.
And she's Finnish?
She's Finnish. Yeah.
Right. So then you guys decide to move to Finland. You start working for Elisa.
Yeah.
And then you're here for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then the idea for Fizza comes from where?
Yeah. So I was here. I think a year and a half, and then COVID came, and I've been always in my job traveling a lot, and then suddenly you stay home, no travel, and then that's where your brain starts to work. But I was not looking. I mean, Elisa is a great company, and I have to give credit. It's a fantastic company to work for. Great office and atmosphere, and I was doing really cool stuff in the digital services world. So it was very interesting. But then and that's something also I tell to entrepreneurs, like you should not look hard on becoming entrepreneur. I think that if you have an entrepreneur DNA and mindset, when the right idea comes, then when to start it. But so I was not looking at all at being entrepreneur, but I was traveling with my family in where my mom comes from, in Brittany, Bretagne, west part of France, and we're there for the 14th of July, which was the French National Day, right? So everything was closed in the countryside, and driving around, and then I asked my wife, I was driving, can you find a place open? So she pulled Google Maps, and then there's a pizzeria open 24/7. Okay, let's go there. And then we drove to the destination, and we were facing a pizza machine. And I was like, what is this? So, and then we tried, and then I got a product, and then I realized right away that you can actually get a good product from a pizza machine. It was not, of course, not perfect and so on, but you can get this restaurant taste from a machine, and that was for me wow. And I thought immediately, if I can, take this concept, so it's an idea that I didn't invent it, right? It came from an experience, but if you can take this concept and make it better, in terms of product, in terms of design, and stuff like waiting time and so on, then it could be a great for the Nordics in general, because we have, here we have restaurants close early. Usually, staff is difficult, in terms of managing the teams, and people are quite technology savvy, right? So tech savvy here, and sometimes I don't want to talk to anyone, just get me my food, and so next day I think I had this, it was like it started to go around my head, and then I think after 2 days I already booked Fizza Pistefi, Fizza.fi, right? So I booked the domain, and then from there I was just put a business plan together, trying to see how the numbers work, and then did my technology analysis, on what to do and not to do, and we went, and every time there was a no red flag, so going to next step, and that's when we started. So Yeah, I came back to Finland, and I think 6 months later we had the opening the first Fizza kiosk. So it went pretty fast. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think when it first got announced, it was like a pretty big thing, and it was all over the news here, and it was COVID, and me with Momotoko, I'm thinking like, how am I going to pivot? What am I going to do during this COVID thing to keep things moving and keep people employed and stuff like this? And this French motherfucker comes out with a fantastic idea, which is Fizza. And I think that, at that moment I was like, oh my God, I need to get out and get my mind opened a little bit onto what's possible. Because I think at that time, timing was really good, I think.
Timing is everything.
Timing.
So,
and when you came out with that, of course, I had questions about quality as well, because I was like, how good can it be? You know what I mean? Like, it's probably just a freezer back there. You know what I mean? I didn't really understand the mechanics of it. I was like, in my mind, it was like this microwaved, supermarket pizza. I was like, how good can it be? Then I started seeing photos, and I was like, no. I was like, no, can't. That's not possible.
Yeah.
And then I went and tasted it for myself, and I was like, that's amazing. So I'm sure you've put in a lot of work into getting the product to where it is today. Before we talk about the product, I want to talk about the real estate aspect. By the way, it is called Pumped on Property.
Okay, good.
Now it popped into my mind.
Okay.
So, a couple of young guys in Australia. But anyway, so let's talk about the real estate side first, because obviously you come up with a business plan, and then your next step is going, right, where am I going to put these? Right? Where do they belong? Am I going to look for dense residential areas? Am I going to look for people at the office? So what was the process kind of after you're writing that business plan on identifying locations?
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, it's all about timing, and I think that a lot of we're still at the beginning of Fizza, but a lot of entrepreneurs I listen who have succeeded in their business, and success is doesn't mean the same thing for anyone, but I think luck is always there, right? So it's about there's a lot of course everybody works hard, everybody want to do the best and so on, but there is in this case the timing was
I don't think you should say it's luck. I think because it seems that and I've seen this kind of quote from a bunch of people, but luck seems to happen to people who work hard.
Sure, but it's not enough. It's not enough, right? So if it would be just working hard, it's too easy. Right?
Yeah,
anyone can work hard. But so you need more than that.
It's a combination of
it's a combination.
Scenarios. 100%.
Yeah. So so back at the time I was actually living in Kaunas, and then I went to see when you build something, you have financial is one key thing, right? And also it was a good timing there because I had some money to invest in a business, and then location is very important. So I went to see a few cities, municipalities, and businesses, and then trying to talk. And actually, Kaunas was really the first very welcoming city. They're really welcoming for entrepreneurs actually. Right. So they want to very open for new ideas, and then they were immediately that's a great concept, and so they were really helpful to set it up. And because I was living there, I knew which area that even it was not. A lot of people told me like, why you put it in Asemati 20, saying it's not I would have put it there. No, but I knew that there was a lot of traffic there, and that people stop by, and there is a lack of services, because that one of the key thing of Fizza is that we're not a restaurant. We don't want to compete with restaurants. I mean, if you want to have the dining experience, you sit down, you have a nice glass of wine. We're not in this business, but we're the takeaway food business, and I knew there was a lot of people there with a lack of services. Actually, I experienced this myself. Right. Sometimes on Friday waiting, I remember I went to a restaurant and asked for pizza, and the waiting time was 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I'm like, this can't be true, right? So that's why I picked Kaunas, because they were really welcoming, and this particular location And that was, I knew there was traffic. Also,
So what was the address of the first location?
Assematier.
Assematier.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, and also I knew that people were they would be quite skeptical. That was one of the risk my risk analysis. I thought, okay, well, people would be skeptical to get food from a pizza vending machine, and I wanted to position Fizza as a quality brand, and maybe putting it in Canada, which is, without going to stereotypes, it's still considered as a a higher end
Area.
place area, right? So it would straight away give an image that this is not we're not putting frozen products there. It's quality products. So that was also part of my thinking process. Yeah,
Okay. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted, because for a lot of people that listen to this, they're also starting entrepreneurs. And I think you're a very good example of someone that's kind of started a business, tried, hasn't gone so well, taken a step back, gone to the next one, gone, maybe this is an idea, taken a step back, gone back into enterprise or working for a company, got a salary, taken a step back, and then back into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So for me and for a lot of people, the challenge is always, first, the idea is always the biggest challenge. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just get that, you feel like there's something that you should be doing, and you feel like, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. Or this is my area of expertise. I can jump into that pretty quickly and come up with something. But I think you brought up a really important factor, and that's that when the idea comes, that the time is right. And then from there, structure your business plan, sit down. But a lot of people get stuck on the money, right? On the startup capital that you need and so on. So for Fizza, how much did it cost you to get started? Did you have everything? Did you have to source capital? What was that kind of process in the beginning?
Without going to too many details here, but of course, I made my business plan, and I went, I wouldn't say I went big, but I understood very quickly that it's not a one-off, right? So just put one machine and that's it. So I made a plan already, for like a 5 years plan that shows me where I want to be in 5 years and how much I would need to get there. And then I put this together, and I went to see banks basically. So that's what you do, and of course they we agree on the amount, and they want to have my own responsibility and put my part, and then the bank would follow me. But I have to admit that Finland has been really, it's a good place to start business. I think Finland is really pro entrepreneur. There's a lot of issues as well, right? As you know, but there are tools like Finvera that would support you, and I think it's a good place. I've been experiencing France and Finland, and my own experience is that it has been easier to start a business. In Finland, I mean, the administration parts. I think we all know France administration can be a bit more complicated, but there's a lot of tools. Yeah, it's slow, and it's getting better. Also, I have to give good credit for my home country as well. But things has been faster and easier here, right? So and that's the thing also, that when I went to it's a good test. When you go to see a bank, okay, I have this business. What do you think? And if you have a positive answer, it gives you. That's one of the green flag that was very important for me. If you have the idea, the business model, the idea is good, then you can. But I think that
that's a good point, actually. I think kind of like when you hand in your exam at school and the teacher checks it and goes, "That's right, that's wrong."
Yeah.
And I think that in any case, they've probably seen they're not always right, of course, and they're not entrepreneurs, so they may have some bias towards it. But at least they can evaluate the idea on how much risk they're willing to take.
Right.
And then you can kind of go, okay, I'm onto something, or they've given me this feedback where they won't support it, so maybe I need to relook at it.
Yeah.
Look at a way that, I can have less risk, not just for the bank, but also potentially myself long term. So I think that's a really good point there, is going to get fact checked from the bank. Sorry, it's not Finvera, it's Possintra. Do you have that in Helsinki? Is that a thing? In Portugal, we have Possintra, and you go to Possintra first. Possintra kind of approves your business plan in a way, and then it gives you a reference to Finvera, and that's kind of where the process starts. But I feel like that step, like the people that are sitting in that office maybe don't have necessarily the most open world concept or idea of like what's possible on the entrepreneurial side, but at least the bank's just looking at it from the financial aspect, like how much input, how much output, what's the potential risk, plus minus, all right, we'll go with it. So it's not kind of looking at your idea and going, oh, like you're not going to have like table service. They're not looking at that. They're just looking at how much it costs to set one up, what your potential customer market is, how much your average price or spend per customer is going to be, what your potential profit is, and then they evaluate the risk from there.
And if you cannot pass this point, then maybe there's something wrong about your business plan as well. So
right,
it's a good checkpoint to go. And I would say it is a struggle, cash is king, right? So you need getting money to start a business is important, but right. I think it's not the most difficult part to start. If there's money, there's a lot of investors, a lot of money flowing around that people want to invest somewhere. It's I have to choose my word carefully now because it's not easy, right? And I don't want to, but I'm going to be a bit provocative, saying that if you have a good track record, an idea, you can get money to start. It is not impossible to get, and I think especially in Finland there is a lot of tools to get started.
Especially on the tech side. There's a lot. For people starting tech businesses, there's a ton of different VCs or
right.
angel investors, or there's like the kiosks startup incubator program as well, and those kind of things.
But that's what I mean. Fizza is like it's food and then but not food 100%, and it's tech but not tech 100%. So right. It's been also a challenge to where people put Fizza in that sense. But
true. Yeah, so let's talk about the product now, because I think people have a good understanding of kind of how it got started. So the product is...
sorry, maybe to interrupt you. So, I was also lucky in the sense that when I started going from a tech side, I needed some expertise in food, right? And then also good timing, luck, but also getting out. I think if you're an entrepreneur, you need to get out and meet people. You'll be lucky. It's luck to find people, but the luck will be accelerated by you getting out and talking to people and meeting the right people, right? So I was lucky to meet two other French guys actually that been here for a long time, and they helped me on the food side, right? So they advised me and helped me on how to get a kitchen started, and they were coming from the food industry, and that's also helped me to get started. So it's also important, I would say, to
don't try to do it yourself.
Well, I mean, technology was but the food, I'm not.
But I think so many entrepreneurs try to just put on the different hat, just constantly. You know what I mean? And then I have Andre sitting here from Best in Hell. Plug. But Andre, so photography, media, kind of the presentation side of the business has not been a strength for me, but through working with Andre, I've kind of learned and developed that aspect. And now I'm sure you with the food, working with people in the industry with the food background, you've also improved that skill just by working next to them and going, what's this, what's that?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's been fascinating to discover this, actually, the food business, which is, coming from tech business, you think, okay, there's only, technology and microchips and AI, and this is the world, but the food business is just amazing, because there's 7 billion people need, and unfortunately not everybody eats 3 times a day, but there's a lot of people eating every day, and it's it's very interesting and fascinating.
And the culinary industry and the food industry is it's full of people looking for new things as well.
Right.
In the tech side, there's a lot of people that just kind of accept what comes. You know what I mean? Like when a new iPhone comes out and they're like, hey, you can do this now. I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, but I'm not searching for that new feature. You know, there are people that are, but I'm not.
There
You know
are.
what I mean? But with food, I think a higher percentage of people are looking for, oh, there's that new restaurant. Oh, there's that new bar. Oh, have you heard of this product? Oh, have you tried this? You know, hey, I was in the supermarket the other day and I found this. You know what I mean? Have you tried it? So there's constant like, and I'd say that the amount of people that have that focus on food is higher than the people that are actively searching for like new AI tools or how to use like AI plugins in the chat GTP. You know what I mean? Like, so that market's
Yeah, there is, and that's because everybody need to eat, right? So and that's
everybody
something
like, or lots of people like to eat.
Yeah, and you have to eat. So then you usually tend to, study more, be more curious of things you are doing every day, right? So
But I will say though, your tech background is an advantage in the food industry also.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of things to do in the
100%,
food industry.
100%.
So,
Like the food industry now, the way in which the direction is going, there's so much to be discovered when combining tech and food. And then when I heard about Fizza, I was like, oh man, like, this is a new thing because you don't have the luxury of impressing a customer sitting at a table, right? So like I said yesterday, I was working here at the pizza restaurant and I do that every now and then just to keep in touch of how to do the job. Because I feel like I can't be the CEO of a food business if I don't know how to serve tables. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so important. I think that.
But for you need to have a different focus. You know what I mean? Because you're not standing there going, how was your meal? What can we do better? Like
No,
this
but,
kind of thing.
I believe entrepreneurs need to be hands-on at least once in a while. You have to go especially at the beginning you have to do everything. So it's I think it's important to get.
Do you know why I reached out to you? Now it popped into my head.
Okay.
Do you know why I reached out to you? It's because you put a post on LinkedIn that was something like you went to a meeting or a seminar and you stayed at a cheap hotel, and your whole thing was about staying humble.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that's so true. It's so easy to like get caught up in that, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to reach out to this guy because like you just said, you know what I mean? Entrepreneurs, you've got to get out and you've got to do things, but you've got to also be realistic about what that means.
Yeah, especially with, the young entrepreneurs, or wannabe entrepreneurs, they see this video on Instagram and most of the time fake videos, right? People are super successful and you take the private jet and that's, it's good to stay, on the ground and there's no easy path, right? So it's not, and then controlling, the cost and make sure that you don't do anything stupid is very important.
100%.
Especially at the beginning. So,
not just in your business, but in your own life as well.
Yeah,
because they become so closely tied together.
Yeah.
And I think like that's stepping from like enterprise or being paid a salary into entrepreneurship, you realize that like you make money if the business makes money. Do you know what I mean? When you get paid a salary, you don't care if the business is making money, but you are. You know what I mean? Because you're getting paid.
Exactly.
But then, if you're making poor decisions in your business financially, it's only going to affect you financially directly.
Yeah.
So
it's it's humbling to be back in entrepreneur as well. And I was lucky to have, as I said, a good career and flying and staying in nice hotels and so on. But going back to entrepreneurship and but I love it. So
yeah, 100%. I couldn't do anything else now.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurial side, even this podcast is an entrepreneurial kind of driven project. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
It's like I want to have these conversations because actually a part of these podcasts is me learning. And I just really like talking with different people about different businesses and so on. I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's all entrepreneurial. And then, but it is very modest as well. Like, we're sitting in the basement of my pizza restaurant right now.
I love the place. It's great.
But people have said they like the setting. Put a couple lights in it.
It's great.
It's all good. But so, and the Fizza project now you're 2 years or 2 years in?
Yeah, 2.5 years. We started in 2.5 years.
What have been the biggest challenges from starting to now?
Wow, good question. Because there's been quite a few. Well, I think as I said, we were lucky at the beginning. So the beginning was really smooth, actually. So the first 9 months. One thing I have to also to say is that when I launched, so I was still working, right, at Elisa. It was like a side, when I started to make this business case, and I was just trying something out, and of course I informed my company that I do these side things. Is that okay for you? Okay, no competition with what you're doing here. But then after a couple of months, I started, and then I quickly realized I have to make a choice. So I quit my job to focus 100% on Fizza, and that was also another. Actually, it was not a tough decision. It was one of the easiest decisions I had to do in my life. And again, think about, I had a great job, a fantastic company, nicely paid, and going back to entrepreneurship, I knew where I was heading, and I just taking the call was quite easy, because I saw the traction that
Right.
I thought I was on something. I saw the traction. So it was easy until this, and then scaling is difficult, right? So the scaling part is I think that's the biggest struggle for most companies. So
100%.
yeah, so that's one thing. We've been lucky with our staff. We have great staff that not a big turnover, and that has been an easy side. Of course, the financial side, you need to the scaling and financially it goes together. But and I would say that I think what I like, but what makes it difficult is the versatility of the job, right? Because we have food, right? So we have to take care of the food, and then we have production. It's a production unit that we do. Then you have take care of marketing, and then we have because Fizza is on operations in the Helsinki area, but then it's a franchise outside. So taking care of building a franchise, which implies legal contract. So you have to understand what a contract means. And then the B2C sales, and then the technology side as well, and support a team for the maintenance. So there's a lot of different aspect to this business, and growing this is is difficult, because at some point you shouldn't you should do something better in this area, but you don't have. So I think the big difficulty is, like, as an entrepreneur, I find it very difficult to decide, where do you invest? Do I buy a new machine? I know it's going to take, to build a new machine, it's a cost, but it will get me more money. But or do I invest more in marketing? What is the impact? Or is it in business development? And so scaling this is really
100%. Well, it's just, as you're scaling, it's a constant balance, right, between potential earning and then investment into technologies or further equipment or manufacturing and so on. Because if you invest in manufacturing without more customers, you'll end up bankrupt. And if you invest in more customers without manufacturing, you'll end up bankrupt.
Right.
So you end up in like this constant struggle between the two. Marketing's, for me, most companies spend between 1 and 3% on marketing.
1 and 3?
Yeah, 1 to 3%. I think, but that's another thing, right? Is that we also do a lot of in-house marketing with the way in which we provide customer service and present our business on in-house and so on and so forth. You're different because you need to drive consumers to a location that mind you though, you have a lot of word of mouth and also free media, newspapers and so on. And then also you're quite unique in the space too. But, that's another topic. But it's always just moving between these decisions that's constantly hard. I find the same thing. It's okay, I need to open more restaurants because I need more revenue. I need to continue the growth because now I have an admin team and I have, a paid CEO, a paid COO, I have a HR team and a marketing team and a quality control, team and a training team, and all of those costs, which are non-operational to the day-to-day, are just direct reflection of our size, right? So you have to keep growing past a certain point. However, there's other things you need to invest in. Like I need a new noodle machine now. Like that's Momotogo's next step. And it's like, that's a, 70,000 plus kind of the relocation of the factory and so on, probably looking pretty close to 100,000 in the end. And then it's like, you got to go throw 100,000 there, but you don't get that back straight away. You only get that back after you open 3 or 4 more locations. So it's I feel you.
Yeah, but if you don't do that now, then you're going to be trouble in the
right. I won't be able to provide enough noodles to serve the customers that I have. So this constant struggle.
And balancing that is quite tough. And
100%. And I mean the food business the challenge of running a business in Finland is obviously the taxation, and then when you look at businesses like ours, which are very cost heavy. Manufacturing, restaurants, or hospitality food business. I think I read an article that the average net profit in this business was like 4 to 7%. So like let's say in the middle at 5%. You know what I mean? And if you look at how hard you have to work to make $1 million, only to do 50 grand in profit, you know what I mean? So most people look at that and go, that's insane. You know what I mean? So, I mean, for restaurants to do $1 million, it takes a lot of man hours. It takes a lot of production. It takes a lot of marketing, menus, location, high rent costs. If you want one location to do $1 million, you got to be in Helsinki, and you have to have a good location, especially if you're in fast casual businesses. Or you decide to go to a la carte and be higher end, and then it's more staff cost heavy. You've got 10 chefs working in the kitchen. You've got, section waitresses working 4 to 5 tables. It's there's so many businesses that aren't profitable in this industry. How have you looked at Fizza and gone, okay, what do I need to do to maximize my profitability? Because I can take advantage of things such as not having to have waitresses and chefs, on site. Your footprint per location is quite small, so I'm not sure how it works with the cities, but
So the good thing about Fizza is that if you look at the restaurant industry, probably the biggest costs are ingredients, rent, and staff, right? So those are the big things. And what we do is that we have heavily reduced rent, like heavily reduced, but we just need 9 square meters on the ground, and that's it, right? And then an optimized staff, right? So and basically the way to why Fizza is solving this problem is that it's like, think about a cloud kitchen, right? So it's a cloud kitchen where we can produce more volume because it's optimized all in one location, and then we send these products in the different location where it is. So once you have the fixed cost of this cloud kitchen and the staff, growing your revenue 2x will not grow your costs 2x, right? And so the scalability is fantastic, and that's why Fizza concept is great, but you need to scale if you want to take advantage, because a lot of people came to me and say, I want to I'd like to have one kiosk, a Fizza kiosk somewhere, and then if you need to build one kitchen and start the process and having for one kiosk, there's no point.
So you have a central kitchen in Helsinki, right?
Yeah, in Kuivuhaka in Vantaa. Yeah.
Okay, so how far can you get product from your central kitchen to a franchisee? Like, what's the maximum distance you can cover? Or does the franchisee need to have a small kitchen of their own?
No, so the way the franchisee must have, because I believe in fresh products. So I think that if you do something other than fresh, if you don't get, the product is the most important. So if you don't get you can try the pizza machine, it's cool, but if you don't get a good product at the end, people don't come back, right? So
100%.
To have a fresh product, you need you need a small kitchen close to the kiosk that you operate. So that's why we have our main kitchen. We're doing most of the stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So we do the dough is made there, and And here we take a pride of, taking tipo 00 dough from flour, from Italy, and then we make our dough balls and let it rest for 72 hours minimum, so 3 to 4 days. So we really let the fermentation process do, and then we pre-bake the dough, and then we either use them or send them to the franchisee. So the franchisee, they get the ingredients as a package, right? And then they do the assembly in their small kitchen, which is basically, it's a lab. We call it it's a lab, right? So you don't need an oven, you don't need anything, just to assemble the
fridge
pizza.
space, stainless steel counters.
Make it fresh product, fresh cheese, fresh ham, fresh and then put it in the kiosk. So we have this setup which is working really well, and then once you have established these small labs, then you can duplicate, and then the fixed cost is going towards zero once you have many kiosks. So that's the beauty of the concept, and also for waste management also is great. We have zero waste in our kitchen. Our kitchen has zero waste, right? So which is very important for the impact of
and sustainability aspect. 100%. So that's okay. So the zero waste I want to get back to, because I think that's a really important factor. But you've kind of created like kind of a spider web network, right? So you set up you have your central kitchen here that services Uusimaa area. Then you set up these labs, distance labs, let's just say hypothetically, Turku. Then you can open X amount of units in Turku using that one lab. Same with Tampere, same with Oulu. Every city can kind of have a central lab that distributes to franchised kiosks.
Exactly.
Makes a ton of sense. I think it was a really interesting point. So obviously I have the pizza restaurant upstairs, and I've learned a lot about kind of dough and
I can't wait to try it.
So 72 hours is a good amount of time. You get like a good amount of fermentation, good puff in the crust, so on and so forth. There's Neapolitan style pizza that you're doing, right? Or
yeah, actually, strictly saying, we cannot say it's Neapolitan because of you need to make the dough on the same place that you serve the pizzas, So it is something with but basically it's Neapolitan style. They style it Neapolitan with a nice cornicione elevated.
Exactly. But it's really important that you don't put the ingredients on and then ship it to the lab, because you just get soggy dough and then it doesn't cook properly in the bottom and so on and so forth, and the cheese just sits on top and so on. So having those labs definitely maintains quality 100%. You're getting those dough balls, so they're open, pre-baked already, right? When they leave your central kitchen. And then you're putting on the toppings, so the toppings aren't like soaking in the base. They're going on fresh. And into the oven.
So setting this up actually has been it's been a great thinking process, and how to make it, how, because now we have a model that can be scaled. It's quite easy to scale, but
I mean, also internationally.
Internationally, yes. Right. So we started in Sweden now, and we want to be. Our ambition, thank you. And our ambition is to be a Nordic brand, right? So to be in the Nordics and.
So you've opened a central kitchen in Sweden, like where they're making dough, or you're just doing labs also in Sweden?
Labs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your central kitchen here in Finland can handle...
For the moment, let's see how it goes. But
I mean, at some point you'll need a second production facility, of course, but that's just...
Hopefully.
That's the payoff of scalability, right? Fantastic.
That would be a good problem to have,
Yeah, fantastic. Where in Sweden have you opened now?
Mainly in Göteborg, Gothenburg. So,
and that's a franchise unit.
And we're opening next week also in a place called Mjölby.
Okay.
Yeah, close to Linköping. So
fantastic.
So I think Finland is more like of our first territory, and we are obviously much more ahead in Finland and trying to reproduce there in Sweden, and then in Norway and Denmark.
Finland's a small market too. So for Momotogo as well. You open now. We're opening our 13th location. It's going to be 11 in Finland. We can probably fit 4 or 5 own-operated locations here still. But after that, the cities are getting small. Then it's about franchising. But then you can do the kind of 50 to 80,000 people cities. But then under 50,000, like it's just The math doesn't work.
For you, yes. For us, I mean, we actually were quite interested into these smaller cities, which are usually, more like remote, have less services, and I think we're a good concept to bring, high quality food, fast casual kind of concept in places where it would be difficult to get otherwise.
That's a really good point. Actually.
Yeah, and that's we I think there is room for Fizza to develop a lot of locations, 100%. And so yeah, we are trying to expand, and I think there's space in Finland.
Yeah, and I mean those cities that are really spread out, like Kuopio, for example. Right. I know you've got that island where all those people live. I showed you the place, right? And then there's a huge amount of population. Then you've got the center of town, but then you've got like the main shopping mall. I can't remember what it's called now, but that's like out of town effectively. So if we're looking at kind of Momotoko, I can't speak for Fizza, but at least for Momotoko, we're looking at footfall. It's like, well, where do we go? Because the footfall is like divided over the city. So if we go and put like a location in the city center, there's a lot of people that won't travel to the city to eat with us. There's a portion that will, of course, but then you have limitations of parking and so on and so forth. Then if we open on the residential side, we don't have the same access to public transport and so on that we do into the city center. Or do we take the high footfall, location in the shopping mall, but it's so far out of town that we're missing on a huge market as well. But with Fizza, you can just open a kiosk in each of those places.
And the
you only need 9 square meters.
And the good thing is that we can test. If it doesn't work, we can take it and move it away. And it's very easy.
You can pick them up?
Yeah, we can pick them up.
Yeah,
they
just movable?
It's very easy. So we like, for example, we were in Campi, right? So we put a kiosk in Campi, and I was actually maybe arrogant, I said, I want to be in Campi, that was my, right. And then we got there, but we see Campi was not a great place for us, a lot of other competition and people passing by but not really living there, right? So we want to be more like, we want to be closer to where people live, right? They come back from work, get a pizza, go home.
So instead of ordering through Volt, which take 30 to 40 minute probably average wait roughly, you just walk downstairs in your apartment and somewhere nearby. Exactly. 5-10 minute walk.
But it has to be nearby, right? Yeah. Because you're not going to take your car and drive 30 minutes on Friday night to get your pizza.
It's got to be a short walk. Take the dog with you.
Exactly. So that's why we're moving away from this place. So in Campi, we had this kiosk, and then I was like, we move it to another location, and we were literally selling pizzas in the morning. Okay, we moved the move took like 2 hours, and we were selling pizza in the afternoon at the new location. So the business interruption was 2 hours, and that's fantastic.
That's insane. Yeah, that's really cool. Are you okay? Now I've got to ask, like, you're building these kiosks. Where?
We have different suppliers, but here in Finland.
So it's just like a prefabricated unit. Your oven technology or the mechanics gets installed on that site and then just gets put on the back of a truck and taken to wherever it is.
So
unreal. Awesome. Well done, man. Well done. So the mechanical side, that's obviously not finished, right? The mechanical side's coming from
France. Yeah. Okay. We have exclusivity for all Nordics for this, so we can do what we want here, and then we build this our kiosk around, put our software, Finnish language and everything, and then here we go. So
and it's like it's an oven, and then there's kind of like, I've seen a video somewhere.
I haven't seen inside. I'm sorry.
You can take me inside. But there's, I've seen, I think maybe a video or in the article, they kind of load up these racks,
right?
And then the racks obviously like take that pizza, load it into the oven, and then it's cooked at what temperature?
It depends on the pizza. So which pizza has different settings, right? So depending if there's mozzarella or more cheese or fresh, mushrooms. So we have settings for the temperature, the baking power, and the baking length, of course, for each pizza. So each pizza has their own setting.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But usually we don't need to put it, because the dough is pre-baked, so we don't need to put it too high, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more about just getting the toppings settled nicely, cooking the mushrooms a little bit more so they're nice and tender.
Yeah, exactly.
Those kind of things. Not burning the ham.
Exactly.
These kind of things.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, if you look at that from a quality perspective, that already shows that additional level of quality that you've had focus on, right? Because it's like that's what a pizzaiolo does, right? He's looking at the ingredients, he's changing the position in the oven.
Yeah.
Up here with the flame oven, they lift it off the base. If the base is getting too hot, they need more temperature on top. They need to melt the cheese or cook the mushrooms. Yeah. You're effectively doing the same, but from a technology standpoint.
My tech part, right?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's fantastic. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So, and then it comes to what's kind of the average wait time for, when you click the button, you pay.
So we promised 3 minutes, and
if you promise 3 minutes, mate, it doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes or 5.
No, but we're in Finland, and we need to keep our promises here, and it's really 3 or less, right? So 250, so depending on each pizza, as I said, has different settings. So, but we are under 3 minutes all the time. So 255, 250, something.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quicker than. I don't know if you've been through many drive-through McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's. I do, but but the drive-through here, mate, you can sit in that line for 15 minutes. And I think that if you have to wait 3 minutes for a pizza of that quality, where consideration has been taken to not just the ingredients, but the cooking time, making sure that it's prepared in a way that when it comes to the customer, it is a high quality Neapolitan style, freshly baked pizza.
Exactly. So our promise was like this, right? So high quality, 3 minutes, and 24/7. Those are the 3 key, ingredients of our business proposal to the customer expectation is that. So and a lot of people thought that that's also my nightmare to fight stereotypes about pizza machine. It can be good, right? And they think that the pizza is done instantly on the way. Actually, our concept is very simple. We just take the payment and bake it on site. All the rest is done as a traditional restaurant with the fermentation, as I explained, the dough. But it's just the final steps that you don't need someone standing 24/7 to get the payment. Now they're automated and to bake it, right?
Well, I mean, in Finland it's just not possible either. Like if you have someone there at 3 a.m. it costs you a fortune. So exactly. it's not possible.
So we are proposing this service, and we by doing if we would have done everything like in the machine, first of all, it would be much longer, right? 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and then it can be done because you need 3 days, as I said, to have a nice dough. So I think our solution is the best of both worlds, right? So we do everything traditional, and then we put it to machine for the final steps, and that's what people they don't understand, and they have this belief that we are taking jobs and that we are.
You get that comment.
Some of them, they don't understand because we need people to make we need stuff, and we need people to transport also.
Exactly.
So we need actually more people than which will number. Of course, we don't have waiters, so that's there. But we do things like in a restaurant, and that's also, I think, as an entrepreneur, like people don't understand the efforts and the sacrifices, that you make on Sunday afternoon. No, I'm not going to go with my family on the trip. I need to focus on doing something, and then so we do a lot of efforts and to make the best product that we can. And then some people, it's so easy now behind a keyboard to this is machine, I will never try this. It's so this is especially in the B2C side, something you have to facing criticism. You have to take them with a grain of salt and make sure that. For me, it's more helping me, to see what are the issues. But some people are, really, it can be tough.
So, sometimes, people. Sometimes my wife will read through like the comments that people leave, and so we if we sponsor a post, for example, for Momotoko, and the post is just a bowl of ramen or someone serving it with a smile kind of thing, and then just some of the comments that are there, like she's reading through them, I can just see her blood boiling. And she's like, "How does this not affect you?" It's like, babe, when you're in these entrepreneurial shoes, if you let every negative comment affect you, you'll survive a week.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's about looking at the comments and going, okay, that's not constructive, doesn't concern me. Oh, that's negative, but it's constructive. Maybe it's something I'll look into. Oh, that's a positive comment, but there's something here that I need to be able to improve, you know? And if you look at the comments from that perspective, that's how you get through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because otherwise you just, find yourself in this whirlwind of negativity, and it's hard to get up in the morning if you're in that headspace. So, but man, I'm like in shock how much back end you've put into Fizza to create a high quality product. I think is absolutely fantastic. And then how it gets delivered to the customer, while it's unique, it's also extremely accessible. And that's like, for a lot of people, if anyone has anything negative to say, it's like, well, I could ask you to come and park in the middle of the city, and then you can go to a restaurant and, pay X, and it takes so long. Or you have the opportunity to walk downstairs, and in 3 minutes get a high quality product and not have to just worry, no stress, no driving, makes a ton of sense.
I mean, simply again, we're not here to compete with restaurants or to we're trying to be find both in location and it's a takeaway business. So it's if someone wants a good product and fast because to eat home, then here we are. And also we also serve we thought about hospital staff finishing at 3 a.m. taxi drivers who have like night shift people who don't find anything, right?
Anything of quality.
Yeah. And
you end up at the same kind of 2-3 places.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
I mean, and even to be honest, even entrepreneurs, like I find myself very often outside the normal working hours of restaurants or whatever.
Right.
So you find yourself at really dodgy kebab pizza shops, like that are open just 2 hours longer because that's how they make their money. And it's not good quality, but it's the only option. Or a McDonald's or Burger King or whatever it is. And then it's kind of not healthy. And then you go home and it's 11 o'clock at night. You have a shitty sleep because your stomach's just full of rubbish. It's like, it's just that cycle. So it's also, I think, really accessible for entrepreneurs, and that's really important.
Yeah, right, entrepreneurs.
So, and so I'm a little bit like in shock of how good your business model is overall. But now, like Fizza, so opened in Sweden recently. What's the next country for you guys?
Norway.
Yeah, okay.
Norway is really
Why Norway, not Denmark?
Opportunities. So we just got people there that we are willing to work on the concept. So we just Norway, Denmark could have been either way. But
how do franchise reach out to you? Like, what's the best way to get in contact if people are interested in doing this?
Oh, we have a lot of people contacting us, a lot,
cool.
Right? But a lot of people are just curious. They want to,
right?
So, and I think people think just a machine. It's like a drink machine, right? So you have a vending machine. You put drinks there. It can stay for months, and so we try to explain to people that it is not. If you want to develop a Fizza business, it's you have to be hands-on.
You have to be active.
You have to be active.
You
right?
can't just put it there. And
you have, I mean, of course, we have different franchisee. We have like pure investors who just put money and put a team together, and then we train them, and then we have these hands-on entrepreneurs who are more like But anyway, as an entrepreneur, I think, as I said earlier in this discussion, it's good to be hands-on on the ground and see. So it requires attention, it requires details. So a lot of people contact us, and then when we explain a bit the process, they or how it works, then but we have a lot of leads, and that's also one thing that forced me. It was a green flag at the beginning when I saw the amount of leads, like natural leads coming in for requests to buy book. Then I thought, okay, there is something there. Because in my business plan that I made back in the days, right, at the very beginning, on this 5-year plan, I wanted to go franchise after 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I went franchise after, actually, I signed the first contract, I think, after 6 months.
Oh, wow.
right? So it was really fast forward, and so I had to build a lot of things, quite quickly, and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So, on the franchising side, my opinion on the franchising side has been in change. I'm still kind of developing my view on franchising. With Momotoko, I have always felt that the best person to do the brand justice is us. And we have concerns of franchises that will operate outside of kind of our expectations or whatever it might be. However, I also think that there needs to be some credit given to those people that are also as entrepreneurially driven as you, but might just not have their own idea. That want to be hands-on, that want to be involved in the business. And now with Momotoko, we've had quite a few inquiries, and we've been talking about, upcoming contracts and so on. And these people are fantastic, and I think I've been closed off to that mentality or that idea previously because I have kind of doubts. But it is also about creating opportunities for other entrepreneurs. It's not just about franchising and you have the model and then some guy, the vending machine's a good example, right? It's not, in many cases, you're not franchising to a guy that just wants to put a vending machine in a gym and, get the subscription money. Most of the time, it's people that are actually driven to develop a good business of their own, a profitable business of their own, and they have their own motives financially and so on. So I think the franchising side needs to be given more credit than from me than what it has in the past. For franchisees that want to start with you, what do they need? What do they need to start? They need X amount of money. They need to be prepared for what?
Well, there are three main things that are to enter this business, which you have to think it carefully. One is finance, of course.
Yep.
Second is the location for the first kiosk, and third is the lab. Okay,
Right.
So how do you set up the lab? Those three things are the key points, and we of course help. And we are actually working right now on how to make it even easier for them on these 3 points. But once you have these 3 points solved, the rest is easy. We don't need food experts. Of course, you need the hygiene pass, but that's easy. And then the rest, we train the staff, and we have this program which makes it very, very easy. But so those are practical things. But I think that more important on this, soft skills, or side of thing. I mean, we want people to, you can feel, someone who is entrepreneur and want to do, good things,
100%.
no shortcut, trying to get and asking the right questions from the beginning. It's very easy to spot.
Mate,
So
honestly,
easy to spot.
you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When you're sitting across from that person having that discussion and just going backwards and forwards with questions, you can see it in their eyes.
You can see it.
100%.
So, and we saw really good franchise asking the right questions from the beginning, and that's the way. So I love entrepreneurship, right? So for me, it's the concept of having someone having an idea in its mind, and then it's materializing into a design that you can see, and that's totally underrated in the world. Nowadays, whatever sign I see, I see this glass, and I think people don't understand. They just take the glass and drink it, but they don't understand. Someone has been thinking through for hours and probably days and designing, the angle of this, and then manufacturing, producing.
Yeah.
That's
why I chose these glasses. Funnily enough, not for this meeting, but why I chose to buy them is because when I looked at it, it just looked, and I look at the glass quite often, which is very strange. But on the inside, it's perfectly round, and then the outside, there's no angle on the inside.
Right.
And the outside's angled, but if you look at it, it's actually a little bit curved in. Can you see that? It's not straight.
It's curved out.
It's it goes it's concave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And then it comes down, but it doesn't go all the way. It's it's
and this design. I mean, think about how much it takes, and people just drink, and then So that's why that's why I really appreciate anyone bringing this. Being entrepreneur, building things, this is so seeing people in because we have entrepreneurs who have they had a job and they or either they continue and do side business or transition to entrepreneur full time. It's beautiful.
I've also met lots of entrepreneurs that have engineering backgrounds. And I think one is a problem solving aspect, because I think, entrepreneurs need to be constantly problem solving. But also I think it's that willingness or wanting to build something, whether it's like a product or a concept or an idea. It's kind of, ingrained in the engineering side of some people as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the building side is the building something is extremely rewarding, right? And then also, I mean, I really enjoy also to being here and participate to the society, right? So I creating jobs, that people feed their family with. I think this is something very, very rewarding to me. This is more than a lot of other things. It's a key driver, for me to come here, and we are foreigners in this country. We came here and although it's not easy, and we can talk a bit about this, being a foreigner entrepreneur in Finland, but very willing to create and participate to
100%
growing the society.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. Being an entrepreneur is tough as it is, but being an entrepreneur as a guest in the country gets a surprising amount of pushback.
Man.
And there's also this kind of mentality towards immigrants or whatever it might be that are developing businesses in Finland. I can't speak for other countries, I don't know. But at least my experience in Finland so far is that when you're on the phone trying to have a hard conversation or you're sitting down with a bank, there's a prejudgment that occurs. Yeah. What's your experience with that?
Well, especially in the food business, right? So and then, there's a lack of staff, obviously, in Finland in the food industry, and there's staff. I mean, our team, we have 12 people, 6 nationalities, right? So in the team, so very diverse team, and but I found still that the food management is very homogeneous in Finland, the food management team. So I went to fair this week, right? So Mesukeskus, and then you go there and you see the vast majority of people is very homogeneous, being Finns. And I think that maybe we should try to be a bit more, because things are more difficult if you're not, I think, more like a Finnish native speaker, I would say. So that's clearly something that it would be easier, if I was a Finnish native.
I totally agree. I think there's been so many conversations that I've had and negotiations that I've had that would have been much more easily accomplished in Finnish or as a Finnish native speaker. It's not that I didn't end up getting the result. It was just the path there was more difficult,
more complex.
Complex. And I think that I'm not into politics at all, so I don't know what's going on with this whole tightening up of immigration and so on. But I will say this: is that Momotoko is a business which is born in Finland. It's developed by a gentleman that was born and raised in Finland. His wife is Chinese. And then I'm Australian and I'm current CEO. My COO is Finnish and some of our admin team is Finnish, but the rest of our 100-odd employees are not. And I don't think people realize the impact it will have if we aren't able to have an open mind towards the immigration aspect of working in Finland. At least for me, many of the people that I talk with, many of the entrepreneurs that are driving business forward and driving different concepts forward, especially in the food business, are not Finnish. I'm not saying like we come here and we're just like, oh, we'll open a pizza shop. Like that's not how it works, you know what I mean? And that's not our mentality. But we definitely are on the grind to carve out our piece of maybe legacy here in Finland. I want my kids are Finnish, right? Yeah, they're half Australian by blood, but they're Finnish. They go to Finnish school. That my wife is Finnish, and when they grow up, I want them to be like, yeah, my dad grew and owns Momotoko, and that actually like means something really important, not just for them, but also this societal factor that we, employ, we train, we develop careers and these kind of aspects.
It's a legacy that you leave. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I mean, for this problem, and again, I also don't want to go political here, but things, I'm positive things will balance out, because we need, Finland needs people.
So.
That's clear.
Mind you, I've said that things are going to balance out a couple times, and
I'm a positive
wrong.
guy, but I'm a positive. But I think that and things are doing. What we can do is also to hire people, who are best for the job, regardless of where they're from, and then.
Well, that's always our motive. We never have. We don't have bias towards like, oh, I'd rather hire someone that's not Finnish or is Finnish. It has nothing to do with it. It's just about who you feel best fits that position to achieve the goal that you want to achieve in your business.
Yeah.
And whether that person's Vietnamese, Chinese, American, Dutch, Finnish. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think that I would like to see more CEOs, like foreign CEOs in leading food companies. There's not so many if you think about it, right? And you're an example of it. And
thanks.
And I am, but I did this, so Fizza has no choice at the moment. But it's like our Finnish companies and having a CEO coming from different background is good. But again, saying that Business Finland has English pages, and I mean,
right. There is a lot of support.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Finland is doing for. So I have to give credit to Finland.
I do.
And I really, like back to where I'm from. I'm sure there's no. I haven't tried actually, because I go to the French pages when I'm in France, but there is no English.
That's a really good. Yeah. That's a really good point. There is a lot of support, in English and other languages to support non-native speaking.
But the diversity in this business would also, I guess, help more and more, right? So I think more like. Diverse CEO leading food brand.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've never thought about it because I worked into this position and I didn't found Momotoko. I came into the business as a COO and then kind of developed my skill set into the CEO position and so on and so forth. And there's still tons of things I'm learning. Right. But it's an interesting aspect that I haven't really thought about.
You're a great example and leading example too.
Yeah, and I think the hardest thing as a CEO is to get feedback, right? Because like there's no one apart from a board, which you now have, by the way.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have a boss now. So I have a boss, and so I have that boss for some time. I have a boss because I have a chairman who is my boss officially. So,
congratulations on getting a boss.
Thank you. And I told them please, the first thing you need to do is like when I'm not fit anymore for the job, just kick me out, right? So as the CEO, because although I build this business, I believe that maybe doesn't take the same skills to go from, starting from scratch, taking the company somewhere and then taking it to the next level, right? So I think
it's hard to grow as a CEO, like perpetually.
Yeah,
it really is. Like the business gets to a size and you realize, there's things you don't really understand on how to develop next and so on. But I've always said that for me, our board is the founders. Now we have some investors involved as well. But I've always said that if the person under me isn't taking my job, then I'm not doing my job correctly.
Right.
And I try to kind of, put that on everybody that's underneath me. It's like the person that is under you should take your job. You know what I mean? And should be training or developing in that direction.
That's a great replacement plan and a great process that I wish. Well, we don't have the luxury yet to have this, but it's.
Yeah, and it's because the other thing that it breeds is a diversity in your administrative team or executive team or whatever you want to call it, because you'll end up with a COO that may have a HR background or a COO that has a training background or a COO that has a marketing background. And they're all different kind of skill sets. But it really comes up to those people that are working through that position. And then, you know, my COO has like a really hands-on operational background. So he'll need people that can support him in things like marketing or brand development or business development, finance, you know, so he'll make his own decisions after he takes my job on what team he needs around him, you know. And I think kind of breeding that awareness in the administrative team to go, right, this is what I am good at, but these are the people I need around me. And then developing their skill set as a CEO to go, these are the people I need around me. This is how I'm going to do it. This is who I'm going to select. This is how I'm going to identify. I think that's, at least for me, that's my job.
It is extremely mature what you're saying, and very, it's so important for any leader to understand, right? So to this environment and what I'm good at and what I'm lacking, you know, skills and
and how to identify those puzzle pieces, right? And go, okay, this one goes here, this one goes there, this one comes here, and I'll have a full picture. You know what I mean? Or if I'm missing a piece, that's a skill I can develop personally to hold. And I think, it's, you know, at least for me as a CEO, that's been my biggest kind of development this year, is going, right, how do I kind of not manipulate, but how do I pull strings in the right directions so that the people underneath me can start identifying who they need next to them to do their job better. You know, and I think that's been a really interesting,
extremely mature process actually. From that,
thanks.
I really,
I think it's a bold.
I wish I could be in that stage, because we're still now building things and trying to, you know.
Right, but you're in a
smaller team and
you're in a different phase, right? You know, and maybe you'll get to that phase in the future. But at least your phase now is looking at scalability, and then you're kind of looking at the avenues from a really, you know, don't take this the wrong way, but Fizza is still in kind of an infancy period,
of course,
where you're going, right, here's how you drink the water, you know what I mean, and just treating it that way. But I think that's also a really important part of the business development side. I had already come into Momotoko at the point where there had been a lot of development from the consumer view aspect. So I didn't have to change people's minds. I just had to further develop the understanding of what the brand was, and obviously grow with the times and so on. So I have a different understanding of from where I started to where you started. I've founded businesses before and so on as well, but you know, that it's a very different thing to be a founder and work through that first 5 years than it is to kind of come in and go, oh, this piece doesn't fit here. You know, because you can have a different perspective.
And I think that's why it's healthy that once, you know, at some point, you know, it's very rare to have a founder CEO that stays, you know, on the way, and the amount of skills required for that is unbelievable. And 100%. I don't know if let's see what the future holds, but I hope to. That's why I told the board, like, you know, please, your first task is to tell me to go out the day you feel I'm not needed anymore. So hopefully there's some time still left for me, but as you see your Fizza, but it's
or just a redirection, you know what I mean? Maybe the board goes, hey, you know, Alex, this is your area, you know, step down as CEO, take over franchise, whatever. You know what I mean? Run that department. You know, and a really, really good example of this, do you know who Ben Francis is from Gymshark? So he's the current CEO of Gymshark. His name's Ben Francis. Really, really good example of someone that, like, you know, founder, current CEO, and now I think they just passed €1 billion valuation or £1 billion valuation. And he's just grown with the business, but in a really dynamic aspect, right? Founder, CEO, then stepped back into like product development, then stepped into a different role, and then eventually ended up as CEO again. And it's kind of, you know, and I find his journey actually really inspiring, and I follow a lot of his podcasts, and I think he's a really humble, genuine guy. But I really like that he had the humility to go, I'm not good at this job. I need a CEO that can actually do the job, but I want to stay in the business, and this is my skill set. So I'm going to move into that role.
And learn from there and then come back.
Exactly, and learn. And he's really open. He says, like, he learned a lot from the CEO. I can't remember the name, but the CEO in place at that time. And that's how he developed, you know, to be the next level CEO that he needed to be in.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Path, that's
It's really, really interesting, but definitely a story.
Great. Yeah, and I think this comes back to like the most important is is the company, right? So you want to make whatever it takes for the company to grow. You know, that's my commitment. You know, it's not about me, not about, you know, it's about how to make sure, you know, we grow and we develop, you know, in the right direction, whatever.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I think, you know, because you get to a point where you as the entrepreneur is not necessarily the business anymore. You know, like those two are very closely related in those, you know, founding years. But then eventually you grow past yourself and the business grows past you, and you get to a point where it's, you know, you of course as the founder still have your vision, but it becomes separated from you, where there's more people that rely on the development of the business than just yourself. You know, and at that point, that's in the moment I think you go from, you know, that kind of founder's phase to the next step of the development, where, you know, there can be different views on how the business grows that might be better than yours.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, some companies, they have this like super charismatic, you know, CEO or founder. I mean, think about Tesla, or think about like or maybe in the food industry. I mean,
I don't know if Elon Musk is charismatic, but he's definitely weird enough to
charismatic celebrity, let's say, or you know, how can we apply that? I mean, so some people are tightly coupled with the business, but I'm not sure if it's really healthy, right? Because it's for me, you know, if I have to go that path to make it successful, yeah, why not? But for me, what is important is not, you know, is not me, it's that the business go through it. Right. And I think you need to have the humility to do whatever it takes to make, you know, this. When I say business, maybe it's the people working inside, the whole ecosystem. The whole ecosystem, you know, 100%. Has to grow in the right direction and develop, right? So that's and put individuals behind the ecosystem.
100%. So, 100%. Maybe we could talk all day. We've already gone for an hour and a half.
Is it so?
Yeah. But yeah, there's still tons I want to talk about, but maybe we'll have to do a second podcast at some point.
I'll have a pizza together.
yeah, exactly. But it's awesome to hear, you know, congratulations on your journey and Fizza's journey up until this point. I think you guys are doing really innovative and fantastic things. Thank you again for joining me and having a conversation. I really appreciate it. So
thank you.
Thanks.